The knock came sharp and unexpected. Adam Walker, a single dad with oil still smudged across his hands from a long shift at the auto shop, swung open the door expecting the new nanny he'd hired. Instead, under the pale porch light, stood a young woman with trembling hands and tired blue eyes, clutching a worn leather bag against the cold. Her name was Grace Whitmore, once the daughter of a billionaire, now with nowhere left to go. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. The November wind cut through Chicago like broken glass. Adam Walker hunched his shoulders against it, hands rough and blackened from another 14-hour shift at the auto shop. The city glowed behind him, neon lights, bus fumes, and the smell of rain-soaked pavement. All he wanted was to see his daughter, tuck her in, and forget about the world for a few hours. When he unlocked his apartment door, he froze. A young woman stood in the hallway, trembling from the cold, clutching a worn leather bag to her chest. Her coat was too thin for the weather, her hair damp, and her eyes, wide and uncertain, met his like she wasn't sure she was allowed to look. "Mr. Walker," she said softly. "I'm Grace. Grace Whitmore. I came about the nanny position." Adam frowned. "You're not the one the agency mentioned." "No," she admitted, voice breaking. "The other woman cancelled. I needed the work." Before Adam could answer, a small head peeked from the hallway. Lily, 6 years old, in her pink pajamas, clutching her stuffed bunny. "Daddy, she's cold," she whispered. Grace gave her a fragile smile. "Hi, sweetheart." Adam sighed. Everything about this woman screamed trouble. But something in her eyes, loneliness, maybe, cut through the noise of his exhaustion. "Fine," he muttered. "Come in. Just for tonight." Grace stepped inside, the door closing behind her with a quiet click. The warmth of the apartment wrapped around her like a memory she'd almost forgotten. And as Adam watched her sink into the chair by the heater, he had no idea that letting her in was the decision that would change all three of their lives forever. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the old heater and the clink of ceramic mugs. Adam leaned against the counter, arms folded, watching the stranger sip her coffee like it was the first warmth she'd felt in days. "Whitmore," he said finally. "That name sounds familiar." Grace's fingers tightened around the mug. "It should," she murmured. "My father is Richard Whitmore." Adam's brow furrowed. "The Richard Whitmore? The one with his name on half the skyline?" She nodded once, her gaze steady but hollow. "Yes. Though if you asked him today, he'd tell you he doesn't have a daughter." Adam frowned. "So what happened?" Grace hesitated. "I got tired of being told who to be. He wanted control, every choice, every word, every friend. I walked away. He made sure I had nothing left to walk with." Her voice cracked at the edges, but she kept it together. Adam saw the quiet pride there, the kind that comes from losing everything but dignity. He rubbed the back of his neck. "You expect me to believe that a billionaire's daughter is applying for a $10 an hour job watching my kid?" Grace gave a faint, tired smile. "You don't have to believe me. Just give me a chance. I'll earn it." Adam studied her for a long moment. There was something honest in her exhaustion, something that reminded him of his own reflection after too many double shifts. He sighed. "All right. One rule, no lies. You work hard, you stay. You don't. I'll leave," she finished softly. Lily's voice came from the hallway, sleepy and sweet. "Daddy, is she staying?" Adam looked at Grace, then at his daughter. "For now," he said quietly. But as Grace smiled at Lily, something in the room shifted, the kind of small beginning no one recognizes until it's too late to turn back. The next morning smelled like pancakes and something unfamiliar, peace. Adam blinked awake to the sound of soft laughter from the kitchen. He followed it, still half in a dream, and stopped in the doorway. Grace stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up, her hair tied messily back. Lily sat at the table, swinging her legs, grinning as she shaped pancake batter into crooked hearts. "You cook now?" Adam asked, leaning against the doorframe. Grace turned, startled, then smiled shyly. "I figured I should earn breakfast." He wanted to be annoyed, it wasn't her job yet, but something about the way Lily laughed made it impossible. They ate together at the tiny table, sunlight cutting through the blinds. For the first time in a long while, the place didn't feel so empty. Days turned into weeks. Grace threw herself into the role like she'd been waiting for it all her life. She walked Lily to school, taught her to tie her shoes, and filled their fridge with home-cooked meals instead of takeout boxes. At night, after Lily went to bed, she'd sit at the table with a pile of borrowed library books, studying quietly by the weak kitchen light. One evening, Adam found her dozing off over a notebook. "What are you reading?" he asked. "Business fundamentals," she murmured, eyes fluttering open. "If I ever want to rebuild, I need to learn how things really work." He smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who's not planning to quit." "I already quit once," she said softly. "It cost me everything." Something in her tone made Adam pause. There was a strength in it, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that endures. He didn't know it yet, but Grace wasn't just mending her own life. She was stitching his back together too, one quiet morning, one laugh, one small miracle at a time. Winter crept in early that year. Frost kissed the windowpanes, and Adam's old truck coughed like it wanted to retire. Still, inside their small apartment, warmth lived in laughter. Grace had become part of their rhythm, reading bedtime stories, fixing Lily's torn mittens, leaving little notes that said, "You did great today." But one night, while Adam was sorting bills at the kitchen table, Grace came in quietly, her expression distant. She carried an envelope, expensive paper, embossed initials in gold. "It came to the garage," she said softly, laying it down. "Your coworker said a man in a suit dropped it off for me." Adam frowned. "What's inside?" Grace hesitated, then tore it open. Her eyes flicked over the letter, and all color drained from her face. "It's from him," she whispered. "My father." The note was short and cold. "You've made your choice. Do not contact the family again. The trust is closed. Consider this your final reminder." Her hands shook. Adam rose slowly, unsure if he should reach for her or give her space. Grace laughed, a fragile, bitter sound. "He's making sure the world knows I don't exist." "Grace," Adam started. She wiped her eyes quickly. "No, it's fine. I knew what walking away meant. I just didn't think it would still hurt." Adam's voice softened. "You stood up for yourself. That takes guts. Most people don't have half that kind of strength." Grace looked up at him, her expression caught somewhere between disbelief and gratitude. "You think so?" He nodded. "I know so." Outside, snow began to fall, soft and silent. Inside, two people who'd lost everything found themselves standing a little closer than before. A week later, the world reminded them how cruel it could be. Lily came home from school with red eyes and a torn backpack strap. Adam knelt in front of her, alarmed. "Hey, what happened, bug?" Lily sniffled. "Some kids laughed at me. Said my shoes are old. Said we're poor." Adam's chest tightened. He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Grace knelt beside Lily, calm but fierce. "Sweetheart," she said, taking her hand, "you don't let anyone tell you your worth because of what's on your feet." Lily blinked up at her. "But they said." Grace shook her head. "People say things when they're scared. Usually of the kind of strength they don't have. You hold your head up, you hear me? You've got heart, and that's something no money can buy." Adam stood quietly, watching them. The woman who'd arrived trembling at his door was now a shield for his daughter. There was pride in his eyes, mixed with something warmer, something dangerous. That evening, after Lily fell asleep, Adam found Grace sitting on the fire escape, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the city lights. "You handled that better than I would've," he said, stepping out with 2 mugs of cocoa. Grace smiled faintly. "I used to be one of those kids. Mocking others to feel like I mattered. I hate that I was." "Not anymore," he said. She turned to him. "You think people can really change?" Adam looked through the frost toward Lily's window. "I think people can start over. I did. You're doing it right now." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the night felt softer, like the city itself was holding its breath for them. Neither said another word. They didn't need to. The first real snowstorm hit that weekend, burying the city in white silence. Adam's garage closed early, and he came home to find Grace and Lily building a crooked snowman outside the apartment. Grace's cheeks were flushed, her laughter bright and unguarded. For a moment, Adam just watched, 2 pieces of his world fitting together like they'd always belonged. Later that evening, after Lily fell asleep, Adam found Grace cleaning up toys in the living room. The radio hummed softly in the background, some old Christmas song about miracles. "Hey," he said quietly. "You don't have to do all that." Grace smiled without looking up. "I like it. Feels peaceful here." He hesitated, then said, "You've done more for Lily than I could have asked for." Grace turned, eyes meeting his. "She's easy to love." The air shifted, gentle, but charged. Adam took a small step closer, close enough to smell her shampoo, to see the faint freckles on her cheeks. "Grace," he started, "I don't know what this is, but—" She shook her head slightly, nervous but sincere. "Adam. I don't want to complicate things. You've given me a home, a chance. That's more than anyone's done in a long time." He nodded slowly, swallowing words he wasn't sure he should say. "You earned it." But later that night, as he checked on Lily and passed Grace's door, he heard her softly crying. Adam paused, his hand hovering near the doorknob, but didn't enter. Some walls weren't meant to be broken by force. He just whispered through the quiet, "You're not alone anymore," hoping she somehow heard him. And for the first time since her world had fallen apart, Grace slept without feeling completely lost. Winter passed, and with it came a fragile calm. Grace found part-time work at a local bookstore while still caring for Lily after school. Adam noticed how the little girl had changed, more confident, more talkative, always smiling when Grace was near. But peace never lasts forever. One afternoon, as Adam was closing up the garage, a black car pulled up to the curb. The kind that didn't belong on their side of town. A tall man in an overcoat stepped out, polished shoes gleaming against the slush. "Adam Walker?" he asked, voice clipped. "That's me." The man handed him a folded envelope sealed with gold wax. "From Richard Whitmore." Then he turned and left without another word. Adam stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside was a short message, handwritten in cold. "Miss Whitmore is not who she claims to be. I advise you to keep your distance, for your sake, and your daughter's." When Adam got home, Grace was reading to Lily on the couch, both of them laughing over some silly story. For a second, the letter in his hand felt like poison. After Lily went to bed, he finally confronted her. "Grace," he said quietly, placing the note on the table. "He came to me. Your father." She froze. The color drained from her face. "What did he say?" "That you're dangerous. That I should stay away." Grace's eyes glistened, not with anger, but sorrow. "He's trying to destroy anything I touch. He did it to my friends, to anyone who ever believed in me. He can't stand that I'm happy without him." Adam clenched his fists. "Then he's not a father." He's just a man afraid of losing control. She looked up at him, voice trembling. You believe me? He met her gaze. Yeah, he said softly. I do. And for the first time, Grace realized, someone finally did. The days that followed were heavy with silence. Grace tried to stay busy, packing lunches, folding laundry, keeping her distance, but Adam could see the fear behind her smiles. The letter had shaken her more than she'd admit. One evening, as snow fell in slow spirals outside, Adam came home early to find the apartment dark. Grace, he called. No answer. Panic rose in his chest until he saw a faint glow from the kitchen. She sat at the table, her suitcase beside her. Don't, he said instantly. I can't stay, she whispered. Your daughter doesn't need my mess. Your life doesn't need my past showing up at the door. He stepped closer, his voice rough. Grace, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't understand, she said, tears welling. My father doesn't stop. He'll dig into your business, your custody papers, anything he can use to make you regret helping me. Adam swallowed hard. Let him. I've faced worse than rich men with tempers. Her laugh was soft and broken. You don't know what kind of power he has. I don't care. Grace looked at him, eyes full of disbelief and something deeper. Why are you doing this? Because Lily looks at you like you hung the stars, Adam said quietly. And, maybe I do too. For a moment, the world stopped. Then she broke down, the walls finally giving way. He caught her as she fell, holding her tight as she cried against his chest. You're not leaving, he murmured. Not like this. Not alone. Outside, snow kept falling, soft, relentless, unbothered by the chaos inside. For the first time, Grace let herself believe she might finally be safe. It happened 2 days later. Adam was at the garage when a black SUV pulled into the lot, tires crunching on ice. He knew before the door opened who it was. Richard Whitmore stepped out, gray hair sharp, suit immaculate, eyes as cold as the air around him. Mr. Walker, he greeted, voice smooth but venomous. We need to talk. Adam wiped his hands on a rag. We don't. Whitmore's smile didn't reach his eyes. You have something that belongs to me. She's not a thing, Adam shot back. And she's not yours anymore. The older man's expression hardened. You think you understand her? You think a few months erased the chaos she caused? Adam's patience thinned. What she did was stand up to you. That doesn't make her broken, it makes her brave. Whitmore's jaw clenched. You're a mechanic. You fix cars, not people. Don't pretend you can save her from herself. Adam stepped closer, voice low. She doesn't need saving. She just needed someone to see her. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Whitmore's mask cracked, revealing the fear beneath the control. She'll ruin you, he said. And when she does, don't say I didn't warn you. He turned and left, the SUV's taillights vanishing into the gray afternoon. When Adam got home, Grace was pacing the living room, her hands shaking. He came to you, didn't he? Adam nodded. Yeah. He tried to scare me off. Tears welled in her eyes. You should have told me. I'm telling you now, he interrupted gently. And I'm not running. Grace pressed her lips together, trembling. He won't stop. Then he'll learn he can't control everything, Adam said. Not this time. She stared at him, realizing he meant it, that this man wasn't just protecting her. He was choosing her. And for the first time in her life, Grace Whitmore stopped looking back. Spring came quietly that year. The snow melted, the air softened, and the city began to feel alive again. For Adam, life had settled into something rare, something peaceful. Grace stayed. She worked part-time at the bookstore, kept caring for Lily, and filled their small apartment with light. The tension that once hung between her and Adam had turned into something deeper, unspoken but understood. One evening, the three of them sat together on the old couch, Lily half asleep against Grace's shoulder, a movie flickering on the screen. Adam watched them, heart heavy with gratitude. "She looks at you like you're her world," he said quietly. Grace smiled faintly. "She is my world." He hesitated, then added, "You know, you could make it official. Stay here, for good." Her eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Adam nodded. "Yeah. You belong here. With us." Grace blinked back tears, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought I'd never hear words like that again." He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then maybe it's time you start believing again." Outside, the city glowed gold under the setting sun. Somewhere, far above their small world, Richard Whitmore sat in his glass tower, surrounded by everything money could buy, but nothing that could fill the silence. Inside the modest apartment, laughter broke the quiet. Lily stirred in her sleep, mumbling, "Night, Mom." Grace froze, then smiled, tears in her eyes. Adam whispered, "Looks like she made the decision for us." Grace laughed softly, leaning into him. "Then let's not argue with her." Under that little roof, built not from wealth or status, but from kindness and second chances, a family was born. And for the first time in a long, long while, none of them felt like they were starting over. They had finally come home. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.